Tonight, on First at 9 this Sunday the 13th of July 2025. Education overhaul. Prime Minister outlines plans for forthcoming education reforms while reaffirming the government's commitment to placing education at the forefront of its agenda. Not for sale. Trade unions accuse the government of attempting to sell off the CEB under the guise of restructuring. Tough on scams. Central Bank to launch anti-pyramid scheme awareness program tomorrow as the governor sheds light on growing threats to financial stability. Foreign inflows. Sri Lanka receives over $600 million in workers' remittances in June 2025, marking a 22% increase from last year.
Enrolling now for the June 2025 intake and completes a degree in 2 years.
Men are the tools. Javalta,
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Singh joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Brought to you by the only Sri Lankan media network to rise to the pinnacle across all media platforms. Recognized as the best by every survey and beloved by the people. Now in your top story tonight, Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya affirms that the current government has placed education at the forefront of its agenda, with the President pledging to provide the necessary funding for the sector's advancement. Speaking at the same event, Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Higher Education and Vocational Education, Kalbadra announced that the forthcoming education reforms scheduled for implementation in 2026 propose reducing the number of school periods per day from 8 to 7.
A special program to brief provincial education authorities on the forthcoming education reforms was held yesterday at the Anuradhapura Provincial Council Auditorium. The event was held under the patronage of Prime Minister and Minister of Education, Dr. Harini Amarasuriya. The session was attended by education officials from the North Central Province, the Provincial Governor as well as several public representatives.
We plan
to implement the proposed educational reforms at the start of next year, with changes initially introduced for students in grade 1 and 6 nationwide. As part of these reforms, the duration of a single school period will be extended to 50 minutes. Consequently, the total number of periods per day will be reduced from 8 to 7. Although these reforms will apply first to grades 1 and 6, the amendments made to the time of each period and the reduction in the number of periods per day to 7 will apply to the other grades as well. These revisions will be critical for schools when designing timetables and planning teacher recruitment. Notably, this year it is imperative that we train at least 100,000 teachers to align with the upcoming changes. The Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the National Institute of Education and provincial councils, will lead the teacher training programs specifically tailored for grades 1 and 6. Ultimately, the success of these reforms will rest in the capable hands of our teachers.
In recent times, we have engaged in extensive discussions to address the concerns surrounding these reforms, and as such, there is no issue that remains beyond discussion. The government has given this matter considerable priority, with the President personally committing to allocate the necessary funding both for teacher training and human resource development, as well as for upgrading infrastructure in selected schools. Given these assurances and commitments, one must ask, what more do we truly need to move forward?
Meanwhile, Minister of Health and Mass Media Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa reveals that at least 33 regional hospitals in the north are currently operating without a single nurse on staff. Speaking at an event yesterday, the Health Minister assures the public that these critical staffing shortages would be addressed as priorities through the recruitment of new nurses.
The newly constructed outpatient department building at Nainathiu District Hospital was officially inaugurated under the patronage of the Minister of Health and Mass Media, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa.
As the Minister of Health, I was deeply alarmed to learn that 33 regional hospitals in the northern province are currently operating without a single nurse on staff. Nearly 300 nurses are scheduled to be recruited within the next 2 months, with an additional 300 anticipated to join the healthcare workforce over the following 6 months. Priority will be given to meeting your region's urgent needs through this initial cohort of newly recruited nurses. We acknowledge that the ministry faces challenges in the upkeep of essential high-tech medical equipment such as MRI machines, CT scanners and X-ray systems, as well as in maintaining critical service vehicles including ambulances. The process of repairing or replacing this equipment can be time-consuming and inefficient. We are preparing to engage with the relevant stakeholders to streamline operations and ensure uninterrupted service delivery to the public. Therefore, along with the donation of high-end equipment, we plan to connect the relevant authorities with the hospitals so that such services can be provided uninterrupted. Furthermore, we hope to resolve your shortage of ambulances soon.
At a time when the national healthcare system grapples with a critical shortage of vehicles, including ambulances, Ada Derana was startled to discover that a number of hospital vehicles were left abandoned on a plot of land owned by the Colombo East Base Hospital. According to hospital sources, these vehicles decommissioned from hospitals across the country have been abandoned at the site. Reports suggest that many of these vehicles have been deteriorating at the site for nearly 5 years. When Ada Derana sought clarifications regarding the issue, Director of the Colombo East Base Hospital claimed to have no knowledge on the matter.
Now, several trade unions of the Ceylon Electricity Board are alleging that the government is attempting to sell off shares of the CEB to the government's political aides under the guise of restructuring. Meanwhile, the Electricity Consumers Association alleged that the government made several amendments to the Electricity Act with the goal of ceding control of Sri Lanka's energy sector to India.
Several trade unions of the Ceylon Electricity Board are claiming that the government is working to distribute shares of the CEB to various parties through the Electricity Amendment Bill scheduled to be presented to Parliament.
We are not in opposition to the process of restructuring. What we strongly oppose is the way the Ceylon Electricity Board is being carved up and handed over to cronies and businessmen for their personal gain. Before this government came to power, when the NPP was still in the opposition, they came to us during the protests to protect the CEB. They told us, "Comrade, keep the CEB safe until our party comes into power. Once we are in power, we'll make sure the reforms are conducted in a way that benefits the public and the employees." Therefore, we once again remind the government to keep their promises. Trade union leaders are now members of the cabinet. We urge them to work with integrity and true to their conscience. Minister Kumara Jayakodi, before you bring this issue to the cabinet again, we urge you to first have a meaningful discussion with the trade unions. Right now, the government is moving forward on its own without consulting the unions or giving any clear direction. We will not tolerate that. We strongly urge the government to engage in an open and fair conversation, not just with the trade unions, but also with electricity consumers and CEB employees. What we need is a bill that protects the CEB and its future. If this issue is not handled fairly, we are prepared to escalate this struggle to a whole new level from next Monday.
The Electricity Consumers Association also expressed its views on this matter.
The government wanted to amend the Electricity Act based on agreements that were signed in secret with India. That's the secret. This new amendment is a step towards handing over the energy sector to India. According to the amendment, the CEB is to be broken up into 5 separate institutions. And when that happens, the cost of running each of those institutions will go up. That in turn will cause electricity tariffs to be increased. On top of that, this creates uncertainty regarding the job security of CEB employees. Therefore, we strongly urge the government to not present this bill to Parliament. The bill proposed by Kanchana and Ranil should also be repealed. Instead, steps should be taken to introduce a new bill.
Meanwhile, the People's Struggle Alliance staged a protest in Madirigiriya Polonnaruwa last night against the increase in electricity tariffs. A similar protest was also organized in Moratuwa.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
යාඩියා ලොව වැඩියෙන්ම අලවිවන ඉලෙක්ට්‍රික් ස්කූටරය අබාන්ස් ඔටෝ වෙතින්.
Now with that, here's a look at some thoughts shared in the political arena today.
I have no intention as such at the moment. Since a new government has seized power, we have taken a step back. There is no political party for me. All parties have ceased to exist. The incumbent government too seems to have blurred party lines. Every political party has split, including the UNP and the SLPP. The SLFP is bogged down with lawsuits. I am with the SLFP. I remain impartial. That works for me. The progress of work in Hambantota and Matara is at 4% at the end of 7 months. This is the reality. It is indeed commendable that the President personally inquired into these matters. Otherwise, citizens will criticize the government over ineffective work at the end of the year. No one will benefit under such circumstances. Just because corruption is eradicated, neither would the country develop, nor would its state sector be able to work. That is because a conducive environment has not been created for state sector workers. No one seems to be allocating the necessary provisions for state sector workers to execute their duties. There is no political leadership that inspires state sector workers to take on responsibility. The message disseminated now is that if the wrong decision is taken, state sector workers can and will be incarcerated. This is a very serious crisis. We need to address this concern grappling the state sector. If we fail to do so, it would come at the cost of the country. Once upon a time, the common perception was that Ranil Wickremesinghe is incompetent. Now that perception is associated with Sajid Premadasa. Our theory is that all those individuals are incompetent. They have proved their incompetence over the last 76 years. Now a new government led by President Anura Dissanayake has claimed power. We have also received power of the local government councils. Using the power already vested with us, we intend to develop the country within the next 4 years. They are not keeping the promises they made. They have not built a nation where everybody can live equally. However, they have managed to completely knock out our citizens.
Sri Lanka's Women's Chamber of Industry and Commerce, recognized as the first women-only chamber in the world, marked its 40th anniversary yesterday with the Trailblazers Walk. The event, which saw the participation of over 200 attendees, was also graced by the presence of Colombo's Mayor Rai Kelly Balthazar.
The Women's Chamber of Industry and Commerce marked a significant milestone with the Trailblazers Walk, a commemorative event held on the 12th of July 2025 to celebrate its 40th anniversary. The event was graced by the participation of Colombo's Mayor Rai Kelly Balthazar. Founded in 1985, the Women's Chamber of Industry and Commerce is a non-profit organization in Sri Lanka dedicated to supporting and advancing women entrepreneurs and professionals. Over 200 participants, including members, entrepreneurs, corporate partners and supporters, gathered for the morning walk from Independence Square to the Viharamadevi Park Open Air Theatre.
WCIC is an organization which is supporting women entrepreneurs and professionals to make their voice heard in the country and to make a greater economic contribution. We will forge ahead as a national chamber for women in business, establishing that together we can make a difference to this country and the country's economy.
I feel this walk is very important. It is important for visibility. There is awareness that empowering women and bringing out women and of course supporting women in all areas and in entrepreneurship especially because the economy depends on the empowering women. Having this kind of walk and the visibility and awareness created is very important.
Women's Chamber of Industry and Commerce is the world's first women-owned chamber set up by women for women way back in 1985, and we are celebrating our 40th anniversary this year, and to commemorate our 4 decades of trailblazing journey supporting women, we are organizing this walk. I'm really happy that there is a big participation, men and women. They all believe that women can really enrich our economy.
Meanwhile, Green Walk 2025, organized by Isipatana College, was also held yesterday in Colombo. The event was launched in support of the construction of the school's proposed indoor sports complex, symbolizing a major step forward in enhancing sports infrastructure in the school. Led by Principal Darshana Udavathage, the walk brought together the academic staff, current students, parents and a strong contingent of alumni. Now in other local news, notorious underworld figure Kalbadra Padme and 2 other individuals who were arrested in Malaysia have reportedly escaped Malaysian police custody. Kalbadra Padme was arrested along with his mistress and another underworld figure by the name of Commando Salinta on July 9th, while the trio were attempting to flee from Malaysia to Thailand by boat. Subsequently, the Sri Lankan authorities reached out to their Malaysian counterparts with the anticipation of confirming news on the arrest of the 3 Sri Lankans concerned. In the meantime, the Criminal Investigation Department deployed 2 teams, one to Malaysia and another to Thailand, for investigative purposes. Against this backdrop, the authorities revealed that Kalbadra Padme and the 2 other arrestees have escaped Malaysian police custody. Accordingly, the 2 CID teams deployed abroad to extradite the trio are expected to touch down in Sri Lanka tomorrow. Kalbadra Padme was accused of orchestrating the murder of Ganemula Sanjeeva, the notorious underworld kingpin who was gunned down by an assailant disguised as an attorney within the Halsroff Magistrates Court complex on February 19th this year. And now here's a look at more news across the island in brief.
The mother of Ishara Sewandi, the main female suspect involved in the murder of underworld figure Ganemula Sanjeeva, has reportedly died while in custody at the Velikara prison due to a heart attack on the 11th of July. Ishara Sewandi's mother and younger brother were arrested under suspicion of aiding and abetting the murder of Ganemula Sanjeeva. In the meantime, a search operation conducted by the Sri Lanka Navy off the Eluvathu Island in Jaffna yesterday resulted in the seizure of about 38 kilograms and 700 grams of Kerala cannabis. Authorities suspect that the smugglers abandoned the consignment due to the heightened naval surveillance in the area. The gross street value of the stock of Kerala cannabis is estimated to exceed 15 million rupees. The seized stock of Kerala cannabis was handed over to the Kites police for onward legal action. In other local news, 2 suspects who were arrested yesterday for storing illegally imported high-capacity motorbikes valued at 250 million rupees at the Bird Park warehouse in Hambantota have been remanded until the 25th of July by the Hambantota Magistrates Court. A foreign travel ban has also been imposed on the owner of the warehouse.
Apico Next Gen. Make the leap to faster sleep.
Welcome back. Now in your business news, the central bank is set to commence the Anti-Pyramid National Awareness Week tomorrow in a bid to raise public awareness against the rapid spread of pyramid schemes in Sri Lanka. Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe notes that the concerning rise of pyramid schemes is threatening the stability of the country's financial system.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka expects to launch an Anti-Pyramid National Awareness Week from tomorrow the 14th of July until Friday the 18th of July. The National Awareness Week will be carried out under the theme Pyramid is a Trap, Don't Get Into the Wrong Track. Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe noted that there is a significant increase in pyramid and illegal deposit-taking schemes threatening the stability of the country's financial system.
Not
only is joining pyramid schemes prohibited by law, their prevalence in society may even cause a breach in the stability of the financial system. Not only banking services, but the trustworthiness of the whole financial system and even the whole economy can be put in jeopardy. At present, there is a noticeable increase in the spread of pyramid schemes. This is because most people are uninformed in this regard. Similarly, there is a rise in illegal deposit-taking schemes, especially those claiming to offer investment opportunities in plantations, cryptocurrencies, as well as those pretending to offer educational opportunities. Therefore, with the support of the Central Bank, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Public Administration and Home Affairs, the Police, the Tri-Forces and the Ministry of Public Security, regional branches of the Central Bank will allocate a week from the 14th to the 18th of July for the Anti-Pyramid National Awareness Week to raise public awareness.
පැවැත්වීම සඳහා දැනුවත් කිරීමේ සතියක් පැවැත්වීමට කටයුතු කරලා තියෙනවා.
As part of the Anti-Pyramid Week, outreach activities will be carried out through 6,172 schools and 14,022 Grama Niladari divisions island-wide, ensuring extensive grassroots level coverage and community engagement. Throughout the Awareness Week, participants will be educated on legal provisions relating to prohibited pyramid schemes, the deceptive nature and structure of such business models, risks and financial consequences of investing in pyramid schemes, real-life accounts and experiences of victims. The central bank encourages all members of the public to actively participate in the campaign and stay informed.
Now, according to latest figures released by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has received $635.7 million in workers' remittances in June 2025. The new figure is considered a 22% increase compared to the same period last year. According to the CBSL, the cumulative figure for the period from January to June 2025 is $3.7 billion, which is an increase of 18.9% compared to the same period last year. Total remittances for 2024 was $6.57 billion. Now in other business news, Sri Lankan Airlines has secured vital legal order temporarily blocking attempts to liquidate the national carrier over the non-payment of a $209 million defaulted bond. The Commercial High Court of Colombo extended the enjoining order preventing Sri Lankan Airlines from being wound up over the bond default till July 30th. The extension follows a request for additional time by the legal representatives of the bond trustees who are seeking full repayment of the defaulted international bond. The bond in question, which was initially valued at $175 million, has escalated to $209 million due to missed payments, including interest. The lawyers for the trustees sent a letter of demand to Sri Lankan Airlines on July 11th, seeking full payment within 21 days, warning of further legal action, including winding up if payment was not made. However, the Attorney General's Department has argued and the court has concurred that under Sri Lankan company law, the representatives have no standing to wind up the airline. The government is in negotiations with the bondholders to restructure the debt, explore partial settlements or delay repayment timelines. That's all the news we have for you tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.